Hey everyone, welcome to the recap of The Walking Dead universe. We are here every week to discuss the latest episodes. You can catch our recaps anytime on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and more. Subscribe for free in the app of your choice. I'm Tamara Ford, and I love a good TV show and a good book, of course. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at The Recap Pods. If you're into books, you can also find me at Shelf Addiction. Joining me is show co host Lisa. Welcome, Lisa.
Hello, Tamara. Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Orban. I am an author and I am the founder of Indies United Publishing House, and I love all things pop culture. So if you want to find me online, you can find me pretty much everywhere at Lisa Orban Author.
All right. Today's episode isn't a live recording, but we still would like to hear your comments on the podcast that we are recording today. Drop your comments below in the video versions on YouTube and Facebook, or leave us a voicemail using the Speak Pipe Web voicemail link in the show notes. I cannot talk today. if if you are new to the podcast, we are laid back in our review style, right, Lisa?
Absolutely. This is a conversation, not a dissertation.
Yeah, no scene by scene breakdowns here. We jump around, huge spoiler alert, everything from the past, all the shows, just nothing forward.
That's right. Even though Tamara and I have the ability to watch forward, we have been very good. Pat us on the back that we have not been watching forward because we don't want to. When 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 we make our assumptions, it is based on whatever that the current episodes have shown us. Not we're not giving spoilers out for the next one.
Right. So if you are cool with that, this is the place for you, and we're going to jump into it. We have two episodes to talk about today. First up is The Walking Dead episode 7, season
Hmm.
11. And this was an interesting one. I think we kind of returned to something that is more familiar with this. It felt more grounded versus last week's. What do you think?
You know, yeah, probably. And gotta tell you, that conversation between Negan and Maggie, oh boy, you know
That was a doozy. That was a little bit of yeah, let's do this, right?
that it took a radical right turn. Okay,
Uh-huh.
because usually when when people say, yeah, if I could go back and change things, you would think that something, for the better, maybe him saying, "Yeah, if I could go back, I would change things. I would, like I wouldn't be such a dictator or, I wouldn't have set up this terrible situation for everyone." No, it was like, "I would have killed all of you." You know?
Yeah. And you know what? Not for nothing, that is what we have come to expect from Negan is like that straight up bluntness cuz
Yeah.
anything else would have been a lie.
Well, and she's like, "Why are you saying this to me?" He's like, "Because we need to trust each other." And he's saying,
Yeah.
"I am being honest with you. I know I'm not a good guy, but I understand. I was a leader, you know?
Yep.
And just because you don't like me personally, you don't like my methods, that doesn't make it any less real."
Right.
And he even pointed out, "You guys came into my satellite station. This was, these people had children and, you know, husbands
Friends
and
and
wives
family
and
and yeah.
family. And don't think I don't know about Gracie.
Mhm.
Where do you
Yeah.
think Gracie came from?" So I mean, and it's not that. Yeah, I mean, those were valid points.
We talked about that back when that episode happened. We
Mhm.
said, I don't know if you remember, but we said, if we were following Negan's group, they would be our people
Yeah, and they
and
would
the
have been.
others would be the bad guys.
Yeah, because
So,
especially at that attack, I mean, it really was, as far as Negan's people were concerned, unprovoked.
yeah.
So, and it's not to say
Yeah.
that Negan's people were doing good things. They weren't. I mean, they were going through
No.
and strong arming people. I mean, look at what they were doing with the kingdom. Look what they were doing, to all these different groups. I mean, they were, what they did to Oceanside. They went and took all their men.
I
You
think
know,
that's what makes this like so interesting because there's no one's good on this show, period. Everyone's
yeah,
doing what they think they need to do, and it's just the point of view. And it's, I guess, who's less bad than the other, tons of
Mhm.
shades of gray, and we're dealing with that as viewers, like, well, we are picking sides, right?
Yeah.
Although
Well, and
one isn't necessarily better than the other.
although I will say point blank that, the Whispers, they were just bad. They were just bad. You know?
They
As
are
far
bad, but you know what? We got something out of that. Our
Yeah,
team got some mess out of that. So,
yeah. I'm just I mean, because I can again, I mean, if we had been following Negan from the very beginning, and again, Negan, we saw part of his backstory. He didn't start off as a bad person. He was
right.
trying to find the chemo meds for his wife, and he turned down firearms and took the bat instead because he felt it was less threatening, which is
Mhm.
how we got the bat. Uh, it really he wasn't, he was a teacher, and apparently, if the way he talks to people on, like when he's talking to Maggie, you did a good job. There
Yeah.
you can see that shadow of that teacher in him. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That coach. Attaboy, you're doing a good job. Keep it up, man. You can see that. So I mean, if we had been following Negan from the very beginning, where it was him and his wife, and then going out and starting his community, and how he set it up, I really do think he would be our Rick.
Yeah, his community could have been completely different.
Mhm,
Like, it's amazing because people follow him, they listen to him, and he has the skill set. But it's like
mhm,
that thing when you have great power, you choose to do good or evil.
right. And the governor, I'm pretty sure again, the governor wasn't on an out he wasn't a bad guy, but he was just not right. But again, if we had been following him from the very beginning and watched him
Mhm.
build this community up and protect his people and do what he needed to do, the governor could have been Rick, our Rick.
Yeah, true.
Um, so it really, we always have to keep in mind that in a lot of these cases, these communities that they're fighting with, um, if the tables, if we had been watching them instead of, Rick and his group, we would be on their side. We would be.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, it's kind of interesting, and but I really like that moment of honesty between him and Maggie, and I know Maggie was not expecting that. I mean, just the
Yeah.
pure shock on her face, and honestly, I was surprised he said it out loud. Because well, and again, when everyone said, if you could go back and do things differently, would you? And, "Oh, yeah," and you kind of expected him to say things like, "I would have been more open to people coming into the community," or, "I wouldn't have kept a harem of wives," or whatever, you know,
It's
those
funny
kind of
though, when
things.
she asked him that, I was like, "Oh, what's he gonna say?" When he said that, I was like, "Damn, okay, well,
And you
okay."
kinda have to respect him for that because,
Yeah,
I mean, that was a brutally honest answer. "I would have killed all of you.
yeah,
You guys were the leaders. I should have killed all of you." And part of the reason he didn't is because he really kinda had this respect for Rick and, for especially, uh, Carl. I mean, he had this really weird thing with Carl.
infatuation almost.
Yeah, where I guess
Yeah,
he kinda thought of himself as, like, the absent uncle or something, the distant, you
mhm,
know, mentor type thing. He really did ultimately like and care about Carl, weirdly enough.
yeah,
Um, and a lot of times, you have to, if the community if the community there, Rick's community had just kind of buckled under and went, "Fine, we're under his rule now," and hadn't fought him so much, and had just assimilated, a lot of the things that happened wouldn't have happened. It came from their rebellion, not, he was reacting to what they were doing as opposed to actively encouraging these situations. You know what I mean? His were they were
yeah,
punitive,
yeah, but, I
trying
mean,
to keep him in
anybody
line.
that's knows anything about this crew at all knows that, Rick is not gonna lay down, not for
Exactly.
anybody.
Which
So,
again, which is why he said, "No,
yeah.
I should have killed you all."
Yeah, which
And
in, strategic wise, yeah, that would have been the smart thing to do,
it would have been.
but
But
mhm,
again, he respected Rick, he respected Daryl, he liked Carl. He liked a lot of these community leaders. So, yeah, there was, his big fault really came down to with he was trying in his own mind, and again, I am not agreeing with what he did, but he was being merciful when he only killed 2,
Mm.
you know?
So, what do you think about this handshake deal? Do you think either one is going to try to keep it, or
Negan will.
I think Maggie is going to try to keep it.
Yeah,
I think that unless he pushes her like to a certain level, she's going to try to keep it. I don't think she would just like agree to that and in the back of her mind saying, "Screw him, I'm not
yeah,
doing it." But I do think that if the situation called for it or if something happened that he did, she would take him out.
yeah. Oh, yeah, without hesitation. I mean, because the one guy, can't remember his name, asked her, "So are you gonna keep this deal with Negan?" "I'm
Yeah,
gonna try,"
she's going to try. Yeah.
So, I think, but I really think Negan's offer was legitimate, so to speak. I mean, really, he's just saying, "Hey, Maggie, I'm tired of looking over my shoulder. I am tired of all of this. Can we just, kill me and be done with it? Or can we just agree to I don't have to keep this constant vigilance?" And I really think part of it too is the idea that he's going to offer her does require a certain amount of trust.
Oh yeah,
Because this
definitely.
is a situation where all she has to do is basically make him stumble or shout or what break character, so to speak, and he's gonna get eaten,
Yeah.
as they're surrounded by this huge horde. Um, but and again, this is not something that Maggie and her group could have accomplished on their own because, Negan learned this skill by living
Mhm.
with the Whispers.
Mhm.
So, something apparently productive did come out of him being with them, you know?
Yeah, it did. That was creepy as heck, but
Yeah,
they're looking look, they are leading a horde.
yeah, and
They're
and a big
like
one, I mean, a
a
really
big
big
one.
one.
Yes.
They've been they gathered up, what, probably about a dozen of them there in the woods, and then basically they're
Mhm.
going through all the places that they boarded up the dead and letting them go to build this
Yeah.
gigantic horde, and because, uh, this new group, they have apparently have had no interactions with the Whisper, so they have no idea what's going on. They don't know that there's actual
No.
people in there. This is
No, this is the best idea ever. They will never see it coming.
yeah. So they have no strategy for this. I mean, they're used to going in and dealing with people, and the dead is you kill them when there's a few, and you leave them alone when there's a lot. And
Mhm.
you can tell, I mean, this is an alpha uh level of dead that they have now gathered up and moving forward.
Well, he learned from the
And
best, right?
yeah, I mean, this is enough to surround this town, you
Yeah.
know? And again, they won't be looking, unlike Rick's group, they're not looking for, the herders. They're not looking for
Mhm.
people. They're just seeing, this huge horde of the dead just, you know, coming in and heading straight towards them. Now,
Mhm.
um Daryl being Daryl, he'll know as soon as he sees
Oh,
that
yeah.
horde and the way they're acting, he'll know.
Yeah. Which is
So,
good for him because he won't
yeah,
be he'll know what to look for.
exactly.
He'll know, "Oh, those are my people. Yay, they coming."
They coming. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, this is kind of a brilliant strategy.
It
And
is.
they sent Father Gabriel to go look for something specific there. And I don't know what it is but whatever it was, Maggie asked, "Is it still there?" And he went, "Yep,
Yeah.
okay." So they're heading for something specific.
Right.
Um An access door, I don't know, a weak point, whatever it is, it's still there, whatever it is.
Mhm.
So,
Speaking of, Father Gabriel, Maggie told him when he left, "If you come across some of them and they're alone, take them out."
yeah,
And he came across
one of them, the
Pope.
preacher.
Yeah, and he did nothing.
Well, yeah, but I really thought that was kind of an interesting exchange because I do believe the other was completely aware that Father Gabriel was there.
You think so?
Yeah, because at the very end of it,
Huh.
he says, "Thank you for listening, Father."
Yeah, yeah.
And Gabriel always has that collar on, and I think he saw it, and, this was because priests the do confess to each other, as part of
Mhm.
um, their religion. So, it would not be surprising to me if he thought that God had sent him a preacher to do his confession.
I did not get that vibe, but you might be right, but he seemed like he was so insistent on getting Maggie and crew that he wouldn't have just let him be. That just seems weird.
There's no well, if you think about it, they don't know that there's a preacher with them. There wasn't a preacher you know, when they scuttled the people out of there.
Right. But
Um,
he sends the crew to just kill people. He orders them to kill people when they come across people.
yeah, but
So,
I think this is a little different. I mean, for one, the preacher is, their preacher isn't a soldier. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Um, and he happened to stumble across another preacher who's not doing anything to him. He's just standing there, still. So
Yeah.
I think if
Maybe he's not all the way team Pope, maybe
yeah.
he's just their priest. So maybe
Mhm.
his motivations are a little bit different.
Yeah. And like I said, he was praying to God, but there at the end, he was only like what, 3 feet from Father Gabriel, and
Yeah,
he
I'm
kinda
not
looked
sure
and he didn't
still.
look directly at the bushes, but he looked in that
He
direction. He
didn't.
says, "Thank you for thank you
Yeah.
for listening, Father." And
I'm
then
curious to see later
yeah,
if they'll confirm either way,
yeah,
because it's not obvious. I mean, it's not cut and dry that yes, he saw him or yes, no, he didn't. It's kind of like
yeah.
maybe he
And it
did.
coulda just been he was listening to God or talking to God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you also
Sure.
kinda have to wonder how Father Gabriel was thinking about this because, he has really struggled with his relationship with God, and he's even said, "I don't hear him, anymore."
Yeah.
And, but he's never given up wearing that collar either, and he
Mhm.
does still fulfill the spiritual needs, as they are, of the community. But as a but himself personally, he has had this very turbulent, tumultuous relationship with God, especially the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And he's struggling to maintain his faith. And you even saw when he was talking to when he right before he killed that one guy, he's like, "Yeah, no. There is no God here."
Right. So maybe him seeing this other priest praying sparked something in him.
Yeah. And I mean, I think there might be a bit of envy, a bit of
Mm.
jealousy that this guy after all this time and all the terrible things that Pope has done still has this righteous commitment to God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There you could when you listen to him talk, there's no doubt, there's no um wondering if God is listening to him. I mean, there is a conviction there that of course God is listening to me. He's absolutely listening to me. And that's something that Gabriel desperately wants and hasn't had, for a while now. So yeah, I think there's some jealousy there. Some envy.
Definitely could
So,
be. Definitely could be. I'm curious to see
mhm.
what's going to happen with him going forward, especially since he lied to his girl Maggie. He lied.
Mhm.
He didn't just say,
I saw when
what
I let him
actually.
go, you
Right.
know.
He just said no, he didn't see anyone.
Yep. So, yeah,
So,
like I said, I think there really was a moment between the 2 of them.
mm,
I don't think the preacher's gonna make it.
Probably not.
And it wouldn't
Probably not.
honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if it was Father Gabriel who killed him.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm just
I
saying.
mean,
There there would be a
that would not be lost on me at all if that happened. So,
yeah. I can't say that particular situation would even make me sad.
no, no, you know? So, should we continue with, like, the Reaper, storyline or switch over to our
Well,
team that
let's
are
let's
with
touch
you?
on the Reaper thing because I think it's important that we talk, a little bit about that situation where they were following that father, you know?
Yes. So, Daryl and Leah are, like, out hunting or whatever they call
Mhm,
themselves doing, and they come across that dude, and he is like, "Please don't kill me.
mhm,
I have a family." And he takes them to him, and
and she was even all
shockingly,
about gonna kill him. I mean, she was all
yes,
about killing him. Okay.
yes, because Pope told her, he gave her a code or whatever,
Mhm.
and she was gonna take their asses out, and then suddenly she didn't.
Yeah. There was you could see that I mean, it was she had tears, real tears for this woman,
Mhm,
and there was pity. I mean, and not pity in a self-destructive way. I mean, there was this empathy, I think actually maybe is better. Because we
mhm.
know that she's lost a son.
Yep,
And, so here's this mother who you can tell is just, she's in pain and she is dying and it's her son and her husband and I think there was that I think Leah felt that connection, that that loss and she couldn't do it. She absolutely and even when after she got rid of the son and the father, go, just go and never come back. And the mother's going, "Thank you for coming. You've answered my prayers, et cetera, et cetera." When Leah, went to kill her, she couldn't do it. I mean, there was just
yeah,
something. It broke her. You could see that it was breaking her. And then, Daryl took the shot because that was merciful. It was a
yeah, she
merciful
was gonna
shot.
turn anyway, right? She
Yeah.
couldn't survive.
Well, and she was in
So,
so much pain, she's like, "I'm ready, I just
yeah.
I it's my time, it's time to go." And it was a quick death, whereas
Yeah.
otherwise it would've been slow and painful.
Oh, for
Um,
sure, because likely she would have gotten infection and she would have died
sepsis.
slowly and
Mhm.
long, it'd been a long, slow death,
Yep.
and
Yeah,
nobody wants that.
belly wounds are bad.
Yeah.
You can live for, up to a month, but you are slowly dying and get gangrenous inside, and, oh, it's just it is a terrible, terrible way to go.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, what Gerald did was mercy. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like there was a trauma center somewhere around the corner.
Yeah, but Leah, I feel like she is, and maybe it's Daryl's influence being back around her that are making
Mhm.
her feelings come back out or come to the surface again, because she let the other, the son and the father leave and don't come back.
Yeah.
Get out of
And
here.
and then Daryl was getting ready to basically I don't know confess everything, but he's like, "I need to talk to you," you
Mhm.
know? And then Pope's like, "Hey, you need to come back here. Something's going on." So
Yeah.
the moment was gone.
I know,
Um,
and it seemed like the right moment because she was in her feelings, she just did something totally human,
uh-huh.
and that might have been a good time, but I don't know, he's gotta be careful when he tells her he's been playing her whole team,
Mhm,
and
including
her,
her. I mean, he's
basically.
been
Yeah.
playing her. So,
Oh, yeah.
honestly, I'm glad that the moment was interrupted because I think ultimately, at least right now, Leah would still choose Pope.
Oh, yeah. He
And
hasn't been
Daryl
in there long enough to sway her.
yeah. Well, and Daryl, has been trying to point out things like, this isn't normal. The way Pope is acting, is this really normal? You know, is this how it's
No,
supposed
yeah.
to be?
This
So
is like
yeah.
a precision task, I feel like. So
Mhm.
he's gonna have to be very strategic with his comments as he's been doing and just kind of taking his time with it. Like I know he hates lying to her like that, but
Yeah,
you can't what else can you do?
yeah. I've also noticed that he's keeping Dog back at the compound because he doesn't want Dog to inadvertently find them.
Mhm.
And here's the thing, we both know that Daryl is an amazing tracker, which means if he comes across, signs of people, he's gonna steer her the other way because I don't think she might be good, but I don't think she's Daryl good when it comes to tracking.
No, she's not as good as not many people are as good as him. He's really
Yeah.
good.
So I'm pretty sure he was keeping an eye out to make sure that any subtle signs that he saw of, what might be his people has been trying to steer her a different direction.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Definitely.
without it being obvious.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Well, I'm curious to see what's next for this you know, part of the story. I
Mhm.
like it. I like everything that's going on right now.
It's coming
I'm
together
feeling it.
nicely.
Yeah, it is. It's coming together. So now Eugene and crew. Oh, Eugene.
Oh,
What's the
Eugene.
photo I want? There we go. Eugene. He is like he's grown a lot, but he's
Mhm.
also still got his hiccups. He's still got some residual old Eugene in there, unless it's a misdirect.
Yeah. Well, I don't know so much. I mean, I think they intentionally let the dead come through there. The one
As a
guy was
test.
hoping, well, no, not even as a test, but as a way to, make increase Eugene's stature, by saving I don't what is she? The governor? What is this woman?
The
The mayor,
mayor's
the
son,
mayor's
yeah.
son. But here's the thing. These people, I mean, they are arrogant. I mean, these are like the worst of like the country club kids now. The ones that are, just rolling high on daddy's money, so to speak, or in this case, mommy's
Yes.
influence. And I mean, they have no clue. They're upset that their picnic was interrupted, because they were so rude for saving you. You know, they were mad about being saved.
He was like that typical brat.
Yeah,
And to be quite frank, I was not mad when he punched him in the face, but I was
yeah.
like, I don't think that was the best choice. Even though I'm sure it felt good and he deserved it, I
Oh
could
god,
just
yeah.
tell because of the guards and because of how snooty he was acting, that was not the correct action to take with that guy.
But obviously these 2 especially, you can tell they have never been outside these walls. They've never had to experience, hardship since this whole thing has started. I mean, this is really a case of eat the rich.
Yeah. I mean,
I
that they're really soft, right? He's
yeah,
like,
I would
I
have let
don't need to do anything. That's what the guards are for.
yeah. I'm here to tell you honestly, if I had been Eugene, I would have let the zombies eat him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
oops, he didn't want our
Oops.
help. He
Yeah.
insisted that this was, he didn't want this. Yeah,
How
so
dare you? You got blood on my girlfriend's skirt. Ah,
yeah, or
how
sweater.
dare
Yeah,
you? Sweater. Yeah, whatever. I'm
and
like,
but it was also I mean, this wasn't out I mean, here's the thing, so, the way this city works, I mean, there's not really cash, but there's a basically everyone except for the upper echelons appear to be indentured servants working for, the company store, so to speak.
mm,
Um, it's all this, they are dependent upon and, all their rules are set up to keep the what they consider the lower classes down.
mhm,
Everything is on this very skewed system that is rewarding people that honestly shouldn't be rewarded.
right.
Um the mayor's son and this girl that he was with, they are honestly completely worthless. They are
Indeed.
literally
Yeah.
contributing nothing. You can tell they are literally contributing nothing to this society.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And because they are contributing nothing, they think that they are better because we don't have to toil, like the wretched masses. So this is very much a feudal system. And everyone's going, "Oh yeah, as long as you follow the rules and blah 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 blah." Except these rules suck. They
But,
reward people
I
that
think
shouldn't be
that
rewarded.
that is going to happen in any society that is more advanced. Like, it can't be it's almost like, especially if you have kids that, okay, we've been in this thing for 10 years and you've been safe for 10 years. You've not been out there, right? You were one
Mhm.
of the lucky people that found a community that was stabilized fairly quickly and got lots and lots of resources. So those children who were probably 9 or 10 who are now older teens and bratty, that's bound to happen. I mean, even on the other show, we can talk about that later, but
Yeah.
I feel like if you're in lucky enough to be in those communities when you were young and you've never had to fight or eat a rat or whatever, you're going
Mhm.
to act a certain way.
Yeah, but since I mean, for the beginning, from the beginning, I have said that it is a self-defeating society when they do this. Because if
Yeah,
anything happens to disrupt their apple cart, so to speak, they will
they're
have an
screwed.
entire they're screwed.
Yeah,
There's a few for the population, most of these societies, they're being walled like this. About 10% of their population knows how to, survive. They go out, they're patrols, they've dealt with the dead, they're survivors. The other 90%, if walkers get in, ah,
I
or
know.
they're gonna act like the mayor's son, completely oblivious to the actual danger that he was in, not even
Yeah,
attempting to save himself. If there
yeah.
was a legitimate breach in this city and the dead came in, he would probably sit there and demand to speak to the manager, kind of
Oh, I
attitude,
know.
and get eaten.
I
Um,
know.
and
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 I
while I
feel like us as viewers, we know that, but these people dumb. They dumb.
Yeah, but then
The
you look over at
characters are dumb. Yeah.
Michonne and how she's raised Judith, and Judith's a little badass, you know? This is a girl that, if she gets separated from her people, and she has been separated, she had that whole group of kids with her that she protected and kept safe, you know?
But
She
the difference is I stand by this. And I know some parents are smarter than others, right? Some let's think like let's be proactive as far as protecting yourself, right? In
Uh-huh.
general. But if Judith were in a soft, cushy environment, maybe she might not have been training her as much. Maybe she might not have been as hard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
If she didn't
and I
have
get
to
that,
worry about that day in and day out.
but, me as a parent, and I've raised 5 kids, and I mean, and I had made the decision when and again, we don't have zombies out here, but we do have bills and, adult issues. My job as a parent was not to raise a good child, it was to raise a competent adult. And there is a vast difference. A
Oh
lot
yeah.
of my kids, came back to me and said, "Oh my god, mom, um, my friends didn't know how to pay their bills. They didn't know how to do their
Oh my god,
laundry.
right?
They
Right.
didn't know how to,
Right.
these basic survival skills." And so
Or know how to cook a meal or
or
think
know how
I
to
have
cook a
known
meal.
people like that, and
Yeah,
it's sad, but that's the parents' fault. The
right. But
parents'
again,
fault.
in this society, learning how to survive in this situation, because I never assume that everything's gonna be perfect, and none of these parents in this, should assume that they are always safe, because they've heard rumors of other communities falling. This is always going to be a possibility. So as a good parent, and as if they were a competent community, should be ensuring that these the people inside have survival skills, but they're not. I mean, they're
No.
actively discouraging it, as a matter of
Yeah,
fact.
exactly.
Which to me is a sign of a sick society. If you are not preparing your people to survive, especially in an apocalypse.
It's a it's a delusion,
Yeah.
basically.
So as a parent, I am pretty sure that even if I was in a cushy place, um, I would still make sure that to the best of my abilities that my kids could survive no matter what happened, because that's what I did with my kids going out into this society. And while it's
Yeah.
it's a whole different skill set, I when my kids left their house, they were prepared. They knew how to navigate this adult world. Um, and I think I would have done the same thing for my kids if, if I had been raising them in this situation. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
Just because as a
But for the
parent,
sake
that's
of
your
the
job.
story, though for the sake of this story, though, I think it's an interesting way to quickly set up a new antagonist, right? He's a
Yeah.
little douchebag,
Oh, yeah.
and that's it.
Well,
He's gonna
and
be
I can and you can even see that. So, they are, what's her name? The lawyer, uh,
Yumiko.
Yumiko. They're setting her up.
Mhm.
They are manipulating her. I mean, badly. I mean, they took her brother.
Right off the
They're
street,
right
you
off the
know?
street. They are doing
Yeah.
everything they can to make sure she understands that you may think you have power, but you are gonna do what we want. Because she's like, "I'm not staying here. I just wanna make sure that this community can be a good place for my people." And they're like, "Oh, no, no, no. We're gonna put you in your place." Um,
Well, they're all kind of being manipulated because even
yeah,
Hornsby tells Eugene, when he's in jail, he says something to the effect like, "You dummy, you were supposed to save him.
right,
If you'd done that, you'd be the hero and you could have gotten anything you wanted."
right.
He
But for
did,
him,
even
I
though
think it works
technically he
out.
did save him, though. Technically he did.
Yeah. And
He
if
just
Yumiko can, you know, basically plead Eugene's case, that she
Yep.
has a chance. And I don't, The Walking Dead being The Walking Dead, we're not just gonna let they're not gonna let Eugene languish in jail. Okay,
No.
something's gonna happen. Um, and honestly, my first thought when they came and got Yumiko's brother was that they were coming to because they now know that he's a neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
Because remember, she did tell them that. So
She
that
did.
information's now on file, and he has been adamant, "Don't tell them.
Yeah.
Don't do it." So I think I'm wondering if the way he's acting, because he did not come clean at the beginning of what his actual profession was. I'm wondering if there will be some punitive punishment for him if it does come to light.
Well, even
Because
if
he
they
has
weren't going to before, now they have a reason to, and that's to manipulate Yumiko.
Yeah. But if you
So,
think about it, as far as they're concerned, if he's a neurosurgeon, and everyone's desperate for doctors because, well, it's not like they have any more medical schools, uh, that he could actually, the way that this community is being run, the fact that he has not contributed in this way, in a productive way. He bakes cakes right now. Fine, anyone can bake a cake. Not anyone can be a thoracic surgeon. And they would probably punish him for basically denying this wealth essentially to the community. He's been denying it, he's been withholding it from them. So yeah, I really thought when they took him off the streets, that's why.
and it
Um,
could be why. It could
yeah.
be.
Now, I do believe, manipulating Yumiko is a large part of it too, but I'm
Mhm.
wondering, I'm waiting for the punitive damages to come from them finding out that he's a surgeon. I think that's going
There's
to be the
gonna be
tipping point.
something, but I don't think they'll harm him because they still can use him,
Oh, no, they won't
right?
harm him, but I
Yeah.
think they're going to make him, quote, unquote, "pay the community back," because that seems to be their
Mhm.
whole thing, putting people in a labor debt,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? And keeping them subservient. So, something tells me that they're going to make him labor, and it won't be killing the dead, it'll be working, I don't know, 18-hour shifts or something at the hospital or whatever they decide is punitive for him. But there's
Right.
gonna I think he's gonna end up being punitively punished for, basically robbing the community.
Yeah, I could see something like that happening.
Mhm.
I
And I
can.
think that's part of his fear too, because he knows, you can tell by the way he's acting, it's not even, there is fear when he's telling her, "Please don't tell anybody." So
Mhm.
he knows something bad will happen to him if they find out after all this time that he's actually a doctor.
Yeah. Indeed. I mean, and like you said, she already unwittingly told them, you
Mhm.
know. She did it early on. She didn't know what the heck was going on.
No. Yeah, she
So,
announced who her brother was and said he's a thoracic surgeon at whatever hospital.
yeah.
So they know it's, and God knows this place is run on paperwork. They've written it down.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Maybe, and it's probably just taking a minute for someone going over the paperwork to connect
Yep.
dots.
Well, it is a
Yeah.
bureaucracy, which means it moves slowly,
Mhm.
but it's like a glacier. It's gonna get there. It just may take a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I'm curious to see how, I'm and Yumiko has been deliberately being kept separate from everyone else. And I think she's probably gonna find out here pretty quick about Eugene. My guess is
Mm,
somehow she's gonna find out. And I think that's gonna be the
yeah.
beginning of the tipping point.
Hmm. Well, do you remember that at the end of that scene, he was trying to get Eugene Hornsby was trying to get Eugene to say where his community was,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
he kinda
Well, if
walked
you
away.
just
You
give
know,
us
he kinda
that.
was like, "Well, you can just stay." Right. "You don't have to
Uh-huh.
be in this cell. This is your new home if you don't say anything." And it gave me the impression, like I said, unless it's a misdirect, and it could be because I hope Eugene has grown, but I got
Mhm.
that vibe, "Oh, shit, is he gonna tell them to get out of this cell,
Yeah.
or is he gonna try to trick them and be like the Eugene that we have come to like right now?"
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, if they were gonna, set up the hero situation, so to speak,
Yeah,
they could have just as easily sent Ezekiel and Princess,
yeah.
instead, because here's the thing, I think they figured either way with Eugene was fine. Either he would succeed or he would fail, but either way they could use it to manipulate him.
Mhm.
And in that situation, Ezekiel is much more restrained.
Right.
So if they had sent him that situation, he would have killed the walkers. Um, and he probably would have had a disagreement with this guy, but he
But
wouldn't
he
have
definitely
punched him.
wouldn't have punched him. No,
Yeah.
he would not. He would
So
not have.
I'm pretty sure they picked Eugene. They singled him out because he's the wild card.
Mhm.
Really. I mean, you would think it would be Princess. Princess would have punched him. But really it's Eugene, because he's not like the others. You know?
Right, and maybe they can, like I said, maybe they think they can manipulate him a little easier
Well,
by
and they know
scaring
more
him
about him
or
because,
yeah.
because of the intel, because of all the stuff that they've talked about, on the radio and everything that he shared with her. Um, they know tons about Eugene. So they know what kind of person he is. They know his temperament. Um, and like I said, I think they singled him out because knowing Eugene like they do, they know that they can probably manipulate him easier. And whether he saved him and was the hero, or I don't know that they expected him to punch the guy, or if he failed in some way, that they could use that. They're basically just trying to put him in a situation where they can leverage him.
Yeah, and I mean, technically, from where I sit, he did save them,
Mhm.
but he also punched him.
Yeah.
It was like, the punch negated the fact that I saved his life. Like, how is that right? I don't
Right.
get it, but
And really it came down to this. I mean, the kid would not shut up.
no.
"Oh my god, you're interrupting our picnic." As if the most important thing that is happening here right now is that they're having a picnic,
Right.
and not the fact that they were almost freaking eaten by zombies. Christ, the woman, I mean, that zombie came within a foot of her, and she wasn't even paying attention,
Right.
you know? I mean, oblivious, completely oblivious. So,
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, those are 2 worthless human beings that deserve to die that day, but they did not.
They did
So
not. They did not.
they did not.
Okay, we still have one more show to talk
Yes.
about.
Yes, 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 yes.
So we are gonna switch gears and talk about the World Beyond season premiere,
Mhm.
episode 1. Okay. All right. I've got to know, did you like it? Did you like that episode?
Eh.
That's how I felt. Meh.
I mean, it wasn't they have definitely had worse episodes on the show. Okay, God knows. Um, but it I don't know. Again, I'm pretty much I am watching this show because of the tie-ins that are going on with the greater Walking Dead universe. Um, if this was an independent show that solely stood on its own, I wouldn't be watching it.
Yeah. I concur. I agree. I co-sign. Um, I felt like I had to actually rewind a bit because I kind of got really distracted. I'm watching it, and then before I knew it, I'm on my phone, I'm reading text messages, I'm doing everything but watching. And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh shit, 10 minutes has passed.
Yeah.
I have to go back and rewatch
I
it."
was kind of at that point, I'm like, "Man, I wish there were commercials."
Yeah.
You know, just so I could do
Yeah.
something else. Because I kept pausing things, you know? Yeah, it was just it wasn't keep I mean, it
It
was
was
okay.
boring. It was
Um,
boring. It wasn't okay, so I think what they did right was that we literally jumped right back in, right?
uh-huh,
Immediately we jumped right back where we left off.
and we
Uh
did get confirmation that it was, the CRM that did wipe out, both communities, which we had been
mhm.
making this assumption,
Yeah.
for a while now, but there was the confirmation of and we saw them do it.
Mhm.
To Omaha, which
Yes.
apparently had what, 20,000 people or 30,000 people? I don't know, something like
Yeah,
that.
a lot of people.
A lot of
Yeah.
people. And you could see this city worked hard. I mean, they had nice, good walls. It took C4 to bring them down.
Mhm.
Okay, so these weren't flimsy, fortifications. I mean, they had basically built a wall around I mean, a wall.
Mhm.
A fortified wall, and, so this wasn't a community that was gonna be failing anytime soon per se. So my question is why was it so important for this community to for it and the university to go?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question because that is what was not answered. Like, why would you
Mhm.
do that? They were in corporate cooperation with you, right?
Right.
So,
Well,
they
and
weren't against you, so why would you do it?
in last season, you saw her with a map, and
Yeah.
she's so there has to be a reason behind it, but maybe, they were getting enough people that they were a threat to their power, you know? But
Mhm.
like University City, I mean, these were people that they love the CRM. You know,
Yeah.
they they were having celebrations with them. They were working hand in hand. They gave them their greatest scientist. Um,
Mhm.
these weren't people that were rebelling or planning insurrection or anything. I mean, they wanted to be a part of this community. So you got to wonder what it is they're trying to do because it's not like there's a lot of people left on this earth. And
Right.
and Oklahoma, as I said, it was heavily I mean, it was fortified. So and I got to say, at least university was a little more equitable in how they were set up than,
Yeah.
like the community that Eugene's at.
Yeah.
I can't what are they called now?
Who?
The the people with Eugene, the Commonwealth, there we go.
Yeah. Mhm.
But University City was way more you could equal than, uh the Commonwealth is set up, so I don't know, maybe they didn't like the fact that people had choices? Yeah.
I don't know. I just want it to make sense, right? By the end of this season, because this is the end, it's
Yeah.
just 2 seasons. I just want
Mhm.
it to make sense.
Yeah.
Like, come through with the whole plan, why that was done. And because, like, right now, I don't even understand why they're jumping through these hoops with Hope's character.
Right.
You got her where you wanted her. Now you got to give her another test. It's like you're just coming up with dumb shit
I don't think I
for,
I don't think that was a test for Hope.
well, it was a test for her and her daughter, technically,
Yeah.
for the what it was the lady's name, Lord have mercy, the
Mm.
colonel's daughter.
Yeah.
But she did let Hope go out there on her
Huck.
own. She said wander about the city trying to,
Mhm.
tumble down some stairs. She's seeing shit. Like, it's like, come on, girl. But for her to just come back and say, "Yeah, I don't want the world to end," "Yeah, I want
Mhm.
something else." That seemed like that was sufficient for what she wanted from
Yeah,
her.
I don't
That just
I
seemed dumb.
yeah. I mean, I like I said, I think that this was more of a test about Huck's, um, alliances, that she was testing her to make sure that she hadn't gone over to the other side, so to speak. Because she even says, "When you're embedded, it's really easy to see the other side,"
Then
you
I
know?
hated it then. If that was her sole reason, I hated the whole scenario. It was
Yeah,
stupid.
it
Because
was.
you said you wanted Hope because she's super smart, right? She
Mhm.
can help her father continue the work, do more
Uh-huh.
things, and you're going to put her in danger for that,
Uh-huh.
where she could turn, she could
Uh-huh.
die.
Yeah.
But you said you needed her. That if
I
that whole thing was just for Huck's sake, that was dumb as fuck. I'm sorry.
My guess is that she sent out probably a couple of, soldiers to keep an eye on Hope to make sure that she didn't die. Um, I think if she had not called, I think they would have stepped in when she really was in danger. Um, but that's just a guess.
I know, but it's still risky. It's
It is
risky
risky.
business.
Well, and I
All
think
it
she
takes is
also
them to
wanted
be
to
2 steps too far away from her, right?
yeah, and I think part of it too is, Hope is pretty independent. She's already proven that. Um, and so I think the colonel is trying to impress upon her the importance of not being a independent teenager.
Well, good luck how that went. You saw what she's like. She's like, "Oh, I'm still like, fuck this place,"
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
She's
she definitely is.
so
She's mouthing the words that they wanna hear,
right.
you know?
She's no dummy, but
No.
she has not taught her any lesson or anything.
No. No, no, no.
So, I don't know. That shit was dumb. And then the scenes with Iris and Felix and Will,
Uh-huh.
we got to see Felix and Will, together in their little happy, love bubble
Whatever.
for a second.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, I don't know. And they find a different community that also the CRM just kind of allows to be there.
Uh-huh, because they help clear the walkers, break them up.
Yeah. Which again, kind of, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
Sense.
Like,
I
you
know.
know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm wondering
So,
if they're seen as less of a threat. I mean, at this point, they're not in a walled community. This community doesn't appear to have is not heavily fortified,
yeah.
and, they appear mostly to be farmers, um, and so there's probably a bit of symbiotic relationship going on here because, you saw the sheep, you saw the fields, and again, in the CRM, that's a lot of people to feed.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Definitely.
they might be telling you it's because, for the, clearing the walkers and stuff, but I think food has a lot to do with it as well.
Mm hmm. Mm hmm.
So, you know,
Yeah, I would agree with that. I just still think it's fucking stupid. I'm sorry. I just can't. This show
it's
is
just
not giving
dumb.
me what I want.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
And again, the only reason I'm watching is because we know that it's going to bring us back to the Rick storyline and, you know, CRM, becoming more involved with, the Walking Dead or perhaps Fear the Walking Dead. We don't know yet. But they're kind of the connective tissue between, to forward the overall storyline.
Mhm.
Because like we know that Alpha's gonna show up, or not Alpha. I'm sorry. What's her name? The junkyard lady.
Jadis. There
Jaded,
we go.
yeah, Jaded,
Yeah.
Jadis. So we know Jadis is coming in. Um, we know that she's gonna help kinda fill in the gaps on what happened after she left with Rick, that we wouldn't have otherwise. And, so again, the only reason I'm watching it is because of those tidbits. I really I don't care about these kids.
Yeah,
All right.
I
I
know.
really don't care. I just want to know why the CRM is acting the way it is, why they're killing off these communities that are obviously contributing to their overall security
Success, yeah.
and
Like
success. Um, it's not like there's a lot. I mean, they're really, but it's like the as far as big communities goes, the CRM, um, Omaha, uh, University City, and Seattle,
mhm.
which is a probably covering a large. I mean, Seattle's quite a ways away from Omaha. Um, so it's pretty, I wanna know what their game plan is, what is going on here, and again, we know that the CRM is gonna hook back into to The Walking Dead because of Rick, and
Right.
without this show, we won't know. I mean, we'll lose a lot of the
Yeah.
nuance.
And we
So
may or may not even actually see Rick at all. It might
right.
not even happen. So,
Yeah, it's a whole thing, and I'm not real impressed. I I'm
no.
watching the show because I gotta, not because I wanna.
I know, and it's like the only thing that is helping me is that I know it's the end.
Mhm.
It's not open-ended where we have to consider, well, how long are we gonna actually have to watch this show?
Right.
It's
So,
a
I mean, that's
definitive end.
That's good. Hey, do you
Yeah.
realize, and it's just in 12 days, Fear the Walking Dead is coming back? Just
Oh
12
my
days from now.
god, yes! I'm excited. I'm excited for it, because next week or this upcoming Sunday, excuse me, is the mid-season finale of The Walking Dead,
Uh-huh.
and then after that, we are back in with our team on Fear, and I'm loving Fear these days.
Yeah, it's working out really well. So,
Yeah.
um, and I'm pretty sure at this point that Fear and, uh, the stupid teenagers will
World
end up
Beyond.
yeah, the stupid teenager show will, I think there's gonna be a little more playing off each other, because, like, we know that, you know, uh what's her name, and has that thing with the pilot, for the CRM pilot,
Oh, yeah, uh-huh.
and we saw that, that she got into a helicopter with them,
Yep.
you know, at the very end of it and stuff. So, although again, I would like to point out, they set off nuclear bombs
Yeah.
on Fear the Walking Dead, and apparently no one else has noticed, you know?
And that's like, okay, so I'm still, and I know there are some Walking Dead hardcore fans that can answer this that listen to the podcast. I'm not exactly sure if the timelines are in sync
Yeah,
between Fear and World Beyond. I'm not sure because the CRM has existed for a while, right?
yeah.
So
That's true, but, you know, um, but again, I don't know. I
we can
guess we're
get
just
more
gonna have
information on the CRM and learn more about it through, that pilot's eyes or whatever, and
Mhm,
our team that have left with with
mhm.
the CRM people. But I'm not necessarily sure that the timelines are the same.
Yeah, but
Someone tell me. I don't know.
I don't think yeah, but I don't think they can be that far off at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we know Jadis is there. Um, so if Jadis is there, then it can't be
But we
I
won't know until Fear starts and we see who we see in the CRM group,
right,
right?
and we won't and until we know how long, Jadis has been with the CRM group.
Right.
It could be a few weeks or it could be a couple of years, we don't know.
Right.
Once we find out how long Jadis has been with them, we'll be able to kinda match up the timelines a little bit better.
Mhm.
Um, so, I don't know, I guess we're just gonna have to find out. And that's
I
really all I
know.
have to say about this show because I just don't like
I
it.
know. It's like it's not even that much to say. Like, dude, there was some tests. It was some a teen running around having delusions. It was,
Yeah,
oh, she Hope did reunite with her father,
yeah,
which
at the
was
very
good.
end. Yeah,
Yeah, that was good. And Felix got his boyfriend back. And yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean,
yeah.
I just
Ta-da, we're
don't know.
done. Yeah.
Ta-da. Yeah, very simple.
The
Not
stupid
a lot
teenager
going
show.
on. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Because and here's the thing, even the adults are pretty much acting like teenagers on the show.
Yeah, I would
They
agree.
really are. Judith is more mature than most of the adults on the show.
It's a mess.
It's a
It's a
mess.
mess. Okay, I think we're done today. What do you think, Lisa?
I think we are done.
Okay, great. Okay, you guys, thanks so much for tuning in for today's episode. We appreciate you for being here. And as always, we will be here next week to talk about next week's episode. So hope you'll be here as well. Take care, guys. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.